Hi, it's Dane Scott. We've all had those customers that you'll probably never satisfy completely, no matter what you do. How can you tell in advance which ones they're going to be? And what should you do about it? That's this time on Fiverr Gold. As most of you know, I see the world through the lens of a voiceover guy, so that'll be my perspective here, but the basic principle probably applies to any freelancer out there. Let me set this up in a real-world example. The other day I got a request through Fiverr for a custom quote that looked like this. He said, "I need a voiceover for a PowerPoint presentation. I have attached the script. It is 604 words." Skip down a little bit. He says, "I do not want it to sound as though it is being read. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but unfortunately I had someone else do it, and it was, in my opinion, unusable. It needs to flow naturally and sound as though you believe in it. The tone should be almost like a documentary in style, informative, but have excitement. We don't want it to sound pushy or too much like a sales pitch. You are presenting an exciting new game. Please get back to me at your earliest." As soon as I read the description, I could immediately feel my spidey sense tingling. There were 6 things in there that just seemed to signal rough road ahead. Let's take the instructions one at a time. 1. Don't want a lot of intonation. That's fine on its own. He wants a subtle read. We're good so far. 2. Don't want it to sound as though it's being read. That on the surface is also fine. He wants it to sound natural. In my experience, though, that can be very subjective. Everybody seems to think a little differently about what natural sounds like. 3, he already had someone else do this voiceover and he didn't like it. Not only that, but he'd made kind of a derogatory comment about the previous person. 4, he needs the voiceover to flow naturally and sound as though the product is something I believe in. 5, he wants it to have a documentary sound. 5.5, he also wants it to sound informative. 5.75, he also wants it to sound exciting. But then, he says, number 6, he doesn't want it to sound too much like a sales pitch. So there are what I feel are some kind of conflicting instructions there. He's saying that it should be of little intonation and convincing, yet not a sales pitch, and the list of variables goes on. Well, now here's my theory on that. One style instruction in an order is usually a pretty clear indication of what's needed. Say, give me a compassionate read. Boom. Now sure, there's plenty of room for variation there, but a lot of times your idea of a compassionate read and theirs are going to be pretty close to the same thing. You're going to probably be okay. 2 style directions can be helpful because the second style instruction clarifies the first one. For example, give me a read that's professional and authoritative. Or perhaps the second style note will modify the first in some way. Give me a read that sounds serious and a little worried. Often a 2-style direction like that, as long as the 2 styles aren't in direct conflict with each other, like happy and depressed, can be an excellent guide and something that can be accomplished the first time around. But now, when you add a third variable, that's when the flags should start to go up. To me, it immediately signals that the customer is going to be especially particular about how that end result sounds, and they'll be worried that they're not going to get it. And when they add further to that with more variables, now I'm seeing red lights and I'm hearing alarm bells all over the place. What should you do? Well, I can't tell you what you should do, but let me just tell you how I respond when I get something like that. This is what I sent to this customer. Got it. I should be able to do a nice job on this for you. Because there are a number of criteria for how it should sound, I'm going to suggest we record this as a directed session where you listen in over the phone or Skype during the recording and provide direction on style. Are you up for that? And then just right away I sent a second note saying, first though, I can do an initial trial read of a paragraph or 2 and send that to you to see if I'm in the ballpark, if you like. So what you're seeing there are 2 things I'm doing to kind of head off potential trouble. I'm offering him an initial free audition read so he can hear me attempting something as close to his instructions as I can approximate based on what I read and in my particular voice. And then even more important, I'm offering him the opportunity to direct the read in real time as if he were a producer on the other side of the studio glass. On Fiverr, that's something they call an extra, something that you can charge extra for. And for a client like this one, for me, it goes beyond just being an option. To me, it's more like a requirement. Just as in math, the more variables you introduce, the more permutations are possible. So in voiceovers, the more style requirements that are added, the more permutations are possible. One style requirement is fine, two are fine, but as soon as you add a third, your ability to read the intentions of the client starts to deteriorate pretty rapidly. And with a set of instructions like this client provided, the odds against nailing the read undirected go right off the charts. When I sent my quote to the client, I did two things. Number one, I charged him full price because I saw a bad moon horizon. And when he balked, I didn't waver. And when he asked whether the monitoring session, which costs extra, was really necessary, I insisted it was. I told him honestly in my answer that with this many style notes, it was too much of a crapshoot, that the odds of my nailing it without live direction weren't that good. In the end, he accepted my offer. A Skype appointment was made, and I was able to get this done for him. And guess what? Having him involved in the recording gave him much more confidence that he was going to get, and did get, what he wanted. So not only did he say he was pleased, but he told me he had a lot of videos, and this was just the start of things for the two of us. So a very happy ending. What can we take from this? My suggestion is that if the number of style instructions exceeds 2, you should be wary. More than that, you should be downright leery. Take measures early on with this kind of a client. They're not a bad person. They've just got real specific ideas, and you need to get that nailed down with them. So offer them a directed session over the phone or Skype. Even a speakerphone call on a smartphone can work pretty well if it's a decent smartphone. And get their style approval first by sending them style reads before doing the whole script if they absolutely won't do a Skype session with you. At least then you got a fighting chance that you're going to come out of the gate with the right kind of a read. For 10 tips that I money-back guarantee will make you more income as a freelancer on Fiverr, take my Udemy course. The link is in the description below. And hit subscribe as well, and hit the little bell too, so you can get all of these free bonus tips as soon as each one comes out. Thanks.